Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. A very important episode, one that's close to my heart, and I get to share the vision and the journey and the impact that these two amazing human beings are making on our world. We have Oglah Gatamah and Craig Wilburn. Craig's with Team Dynamo. Come on, what does that tell you? And Oglah's with Keller Williams Legacy Realty. They are powerhouses in the diversity, inclusion, and equity world, and that's something that we will continue to talk about on the TED Show, and we need to all continue to have the conversation. Welcome, you guys. How are you today?
Fantastic.
Happy to be here. Well, happy to be back.
So happy to have you both. Thank you for taking time out. Oglah and I have been trying to put this together, and so it's an honor, too, to have you on, Craig. I really do appreciate that. Before we take a deep dive into the topic, though, people kind of like to know the background so that when you're sharing your message and what's going on with diversity, inclusion, and equity, they know why. So give us a little bit of background. I'll start with you, Oglah. Tell us a little bit about you and then kind of your journey to this particular topic and being such a voice within that community.
Well, thank you so much, Ted, for leading into the conversation. This is so important. Diversity, equity, and inclusion was brought to the forefront of all our businesses and personal lives in 2020 with the death of George Floyd. And it created a response that was just phenomenal throughout the country, where businesses, individuals, organizations, nonprofits really have come together to figure out how do we move forward? How do we take the next steps to address some of the gaps that exist within our community and our businesses and also personal lives? But just a little bit about me, grew up in Kenya, East Africa, went to school, college there, came to Orlando through Disney, did quite a few years in hospitality, then moved over to retail, worked at Target for 4.5 years, and then finally here in real estate right now from 2016, all with Keller Williams. Started as a realtor, then team leader. They're currently the operating principal and franchise owner of Keller Williams Legacy Realty.
Woo! Look at her wrap that up so nicely, right, Craig?
Oh, man, I wish I had that gene.
All right, Craig. Tell us about you, Team Dynamo / Keller Williams.
All right, so I live in Gainesville, Florida. I'm gonna get a Go Gators on this one time. There's got to be at least some fans on this show with the Go Gators. And so I've been in real estate since 2002, all in Gainesville, Florida. Originally from New York City, moved down here many years ago to Florida, and then came to Gainesville and back in 1995 and got into real estate and grown a business. And it's amazing because where I grew up in New York, it was predominantly African American, Hispanic community that I grew up in, and so our world was very bubbleized. We kind of we did our own thing, and it was okay. And when I moved from New York down to Florida, I found myself not in the majority anymore. I wasn't used to being in the minority. I didn't really know what that was because we had so many people like that looked like me. I came to Florida, and where I lived in Florida, it was the opposite. Like that big switch went off, and so I had to learn how to manage myself, in this new environment. So this topic is very, very timely. It's been going on forever. It's been going on long before even slavery has happened. And so and now we're at a season right now where it's just become a movement that another wave of movement actually from back when Martin Luther King and everybody else was doing this thing here. So this is a new move, and we have to band together collectively, everybody, not just one group of people, but the whole group of people to help a group of people to move forward. So this is a good time for this.
Thank you for that. I think it's so important that we continue to bring it to the forefront, which we talked about before we went live. Oglah, do you think people are more receptive to talking about it and having real conversations now? And are you seeing that people are really going, all right, I need to learn more about diversity, not just the buzzword? Oh, you're muted. You muted yourself.
You see all types of responses, right? You see the people that jump up front right away. We see companies that actually assign dollar amounts to however they want to address this. We see companies and individuals that understand, okay, there was the diversity thing, we did that, and then inclusion, but really the conversation in 2021 is equity, because DEI doesn't happen without the E. So we're now having those conversations, and you can see the accountability, especially on the business side, where businesses, whether it's real estate, hospitality, or or even just our civil society, right, is having the conversation of how do we actually and meaningfully and intentionally create equity around diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are people that are still resistant to it because, one of the things that I love about something that Gary Keller said to us last year is he said, I have lived in the skin of a Caucasian male my entire life. So when you say certain things, I might not understand or even really get what you're saying, but I'm here, I'm open, I want to listen, and I want to be part of the journey. And I welcome you and my entire company to help us look not only internally, but also externally. So you see CEOs like that, great leaders in organizations that embrace it and truly want to be part of a long-term solution. So we're seeing money committed right now. There's been more money committed into diversity, equity, and inclusion in this country in 2020, 2021 than we've ever seen before. We've seen product, we've seen businesses pivoting and being inclusive and making sure that there's equity for people of all colors, all races, all sexes. It doesn't matter. Companies are realizing that, it's either you change right now, embrace this, or you don't become viable in the future. It's not an add-on to your business anymore. It is your business. The demographics, the census says differently, that we are going to be more diverse in 2030, 2040, 2050. So you need to prepare yourself, prepare your business, or you are not going to be viable.
So Craig, what do you say? We had a lot of people before we went live, when I posted, ask about, all right, so why real estate? Why would any realtor team, realtor company be involved? Why would it matter that this issue is brought to the forefront via a real estate company, a real estate network, a real estate agent?
Yeah, so many people think that we're in real estate for selling houses. But if that's your business of being in real estate, you won't be in real estate for very long. We're in real estate for helping people. I mean, we're the people helping business, and the vehicle that we do that through is real estate. But the real estate industry as a whole is all about the person, not about you. So what happens is when we're dealing with people in their home and their life changes, and there's all the reasons why people are making decisions to buy and sell their homes. And of course, inevitably, you're going to have a situation where, I'm Black and this person is Chinese, or this person is white, and this person is Mexican, and they're going to have to interact together. And so NAR has, in the more recent history, has created some protocols internally that govern how we as real estate professionals deal with the public. And so in that, there's protected classes. And so the reason why they've done protected classes is because, like with anything, you don't need, if people would follow the rules, you wouldn't need laws, right? But because people break laws and do mean things, we got to put rules in place, unfortunately. So in the instance of racial fairness and equity, there are some very specific things that we can and cannot do, can and cannot say in our profession, and it's governed by the code of ethics.
I also think, I feel like, go ahead, Oglah.
Can I take it just a little bit further? When it comes to real estate, if you go back in the history, especially in the United States, a lot of the gaps in generational wealth over the years, nobody's fault, but policies that were put in place back in the 50s and the 60s, actually, there was policies that were put in place to impede certain communities from participating in real estate, not just owning real estate. A lot of people are not aware that before 1947, really, African Americans were not allowed to participate in real estate, and NAR did not actually, allow people of color to be part of, NAR and be realtors. So there's a small group of people that got together in Tampa, and they started these protest organizations and institutions to include everybody. And by them doing that and really working through from 47 to 68, finally, the Fair Housing Act was enacted in the United States. But since the Fair Housing Act was enacted in the United States, the gap between home ownership between different communities, there's some big gaps, almost 30%. So in real estate, we have the opportunity to create long-lasting change. Everything around our society, whether it's taxes for schools or infrastructure, all comes together from real estate. If we can resolve the issues around the real estate transaction and how we do real estate in this country, we can actually eliminate a lot of the issues that hold back that equity piece of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what you're seeing now, for the first time is NAR also looking internally and real estate companies looking internally and asking the questions, have we done the best that we could? When you look at mortgage and lending, if we pull the stats, right, of how mortgages and how lending happens year over year, you'll be amazed at the gaps between different communities and different races on actually being able to get a mortgage. And this is not a political issue. This is not a real estate franchise versus franchise or independent brokerage issue. This is a systematic issue, a policy issue, has to be addressed from the depths of our governance in this country. And that's where you see a lot of companies and NAR are all coming together and starting to really advocate to look into these policies and go and fix it from that point. Then it's just easier for realtors to do their job. We need to bring education and awareness to the forefront of our businesses to make sure that when we sell real estate, we're selling real estate to every community. And we're not making decisions that we maybe have an bias to it, but making sure that you're educated enough so when you go out there, you pay attention to how you speak and how you do business and how you engage all communities.
And Craig, before we went live, I think we were talking about the story, I think it was in Atlanta, Oglah, Jacksonville, right here in our own backyard, where an African-American woman finally had her white friend show up for the appraisal appointment. And that was the first time she was able to actually get the appraisal. It was a very, very emotional story. When you hear that as a human being, as an African-American man, as a realtor, what are you feeling? Because I want people to understand that, like, when I see it, I'm sad, but you live it. You live, as you mentioned earlier, Oglah, you live in that skin. I live in this skin. And my experiences are completely different. How do you feel, and how can we get people to realize this is a bad thing for all of us?
All right, so there's a few things that come to my mind when I hear that. So the first thought that came to my mind was, okay, please tell me that's not the case. Okay, like this cannot be happening in the year 2021. Like that there's got to be more to the story. That's the first thing. So I try to find every option of reasoning that it would not matter. What does somebody's skin color have to do with a house value? It's zero to do with the house value. And so it's interesting to me. And so again, if as these things do in fact happen, it begins to unveil something a whole lot deeper than real estate. This has got nothing to do with real estate. This has got to do with the heart and the sin nature of a human being. Because for you to ever, for you to have biases against somebody just for the external appearance, the awfulness that is inside of you as a human, that's the problem. That's what needs to be actually dealt with. So you can't solve that problem with new policies and new laws and putting people's names on social media, how bad they are. That's never going to change the heart of somebody. People they really need the Lord Jesus in their hearts, is what they need to be converted, from that negative they have towards other people. In real estate, the way the market is right now, it is such an aggressive market right now, because we have no inventory out there in the marketplace, and we have everybody wanting to buy, and so it's frustrating enough just to manage through this situation. On the buying side, we have a lot of people right now that are of color that are trying to buy homes, and it's hard enough to get a house just in and of itself because of the way the market is, and to be discriminated against because of what you look like on the outside. It's very disheartening for sure, and there's got to be a remedy for that. But that requires everybody to be aware of it. So awareness is the key thing. So I hate the fact that these things happen, but I do appreciate the fact that these things are talked about, because so many people have their head in the sand and they think this does not exist. And so when these stories get out, we should get frustrated, but we shouldn't get frustrated just for the sake of getting angry. We should get frustrated from the sake of, okay, now what's the solution? How do we remedy this for future? How do we remedy this for the people that have gotten hurt recently? Can we go back and maybe help people that have been hurt before? I mean, I think these are the things that we have to talk about, and not just for the sake of being angry.
So Oglah, I love that, Craig. Thank you. How do we reach their heart? How do we get to them, to get to people who have this? And obviously some are aware, some may not be, doesn't matter. The heart needs to be changed. How do we actually impact that and make that change in the heart from a real estate perspective, a business owner perspective, a community advocate perspective?
You know, there's so many ways to approach it. There's no way to approach this from one lens, right? You know, when you awareness is so loaded. You know, what specifically in awareness? So we actually have to break it down and narrow it down. And we have to make sure that the conversation is happening at all avenues, from the advocacy perspective to the local community to the inside the brokerage. So as a realtor, right, or a realtist or a brokerage owner, look at the surroundings, look at the people you do business with, look at your partners, look at your lenders, look at the appraisers you work with, home inspectors, and build a very strategic calendar within your brokerage that when you have trainings, this becomes part of your training. Embrace this conversation, right? So specifically, some of the things that we've done is actually have a DEI committee inside the brokerage. And that DEI committee is made up of agents that are passionate about this, but they keep this issue at the forefront so that we are all talking about it. And then just having open forums. When the conversation happens in a place where people feel safe and they're not attacked, that's when you get the other person to see it. And my favorite thing when we do these presentations to hear somebody say, I never thought about it that way because I was not brought up in an environment like that. I'm not talking about one color. I'm talking about multiple races, black, white, chocolate. Everybody says, you know, I never heard that. You know, some of us were sheltered and some of us were exposed to the issues. Environments that is so welcoming. I loved going to Aura. I was invited to speak at the diversity committee at Aura, and there was so many people there. And one of the things I realized is we had a conversation. We just had a conversation. So that's where we start. Have the conversation. Be very strategic, including in your day-to-day business. Talk about it. Advocate. Keep talking about it. People on this show that can address it.
Amen. Craig, tell me give them an example of maybe what you do in your own organization, something tangible or some idea that they can wrap their head around on making sure that your people, the people that work on your team or part of your team, are aware and educated.
Yeah, so like Oglah mentioned, because we were at the same company, it's a very, very large real estate company, and we have internally within our company even a whole full website, like a suite, a host of informational sessions, classes, materials that we have access to for all of our agents. So just to make sure that they're up to speed on having that information at their fingertips. At the national level, we also put together, it's called At Home with Diversity. And they actually made it really fun too. So they put it like a little video game. You can actually go on and you go through like a video, there's like a choose your own adventure. And as you go through it, it basically takes you through the process of, being an agent and having to make decisions on how you respond to people who are going through the home buying process that are different races. And it actually tracks your responses, and then it gives you a pass, fail, and that kind of thing. So it really helps you to get to a place where you go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I was biased, in this way towards this person because of how they looked or where they're from or whatever. So these are just tools that we can make fun to allow people to have the opportunity to say, you know what, I need to change my perspective on some things.
So as we wrap up, Oglah, what's some way that people can reach both of you? What's the best way? What if somebody says, you know what, I'd love for you to come speak at my organization, community organization, whatever it might be, business even, because you all do go out and touch the community. This is not just something you're talking about from your offices. You're really out there rolling your sleeves up, getting super involved. What's the best way for somebody to reach you and learn more, or maybe engage you or Craig in their organization?
Well, absolutely. And we do engage at a national level, locally. We've driven places just to teach and make presentations. You know, at one point, I think we went to Tampa almost every week to do this presentation. And now we're at a point where we actually are doing them on Zoom because it's just not possible to reach everywhere. For me, you know, Facebook, you know, people inbox me all the time from all over the world, and I take time to respond on Facebook. You can also reach me directly, you know, on LinkedIn. If you do a DM on LinkedIn, I'll respond to that. And then just through our company, you know, we are located right now in Kissimmee, so Keller Williams Legacy Realty, you know, is the best place to reach out. And then just on my email, it's ogatamah@kw.com. And I'm always happy to respond, happy to come out to the community, happy to or any of the organizations.
Awesome. And how about you, Craig? How can they best reach you? Doesn't necessarily have to be in the Alachua County area, but I know you travel. What's the best way for them to reach out?
Email is a good way. Connect at T Dynamo, not team, but T, the letter T. Connect at tdynamo.com. Also through social media is a great way to do that. So yeah, we would love to be able to connect, talk, you know, answer questions. Just, you know, if you just have a heart to want to understand better, that's what I really like the most. I love people who just say, you know, listen, I want to get a better perspective, you know, what you think and what you feel and how, you know, this happened to me recently. How, did I handle that situation correctly? You know, what do you think about how I handled it, about what I said? Those kind of conversations for me, I do love to have those talks.
Well, I'm honored to have you both on. I think the work that you're doing in our world, our community, you know, it's got a ripple effect and it's impacting people on a daily basis. So kudos to you. I mean, God bless you both. I think it's absolutely awesome that you've taken this on. This is a passion project I can feel for both of you. This is something that you want to get out. You want the message. You want to make the change. And so instead of just talking about making the change, you are actually implementing things that are making the change. So my heart goes out to both of you. I appreciate everything that you're doing. Reach out to Craig, reach out to Oglah. If you can't find them, reach out to me and I will get you to them. And I would love for you all to come back on again. I think we should have this conversation regularly. I'd have it every day if I could. But what you're doing, I just want you to know that we all appreciate it. So thank you both. Awesome.
Thanks, Ted.
All right. Oglah Gatamah, Craig Wilburn, Team Dynamo, Keller Williams Legacy. Reach out to them, get involved, and stop just giving a mouthpiece to it. Do something. And these are people who have strong ideas, great nuggets you can take and things that you can actually implement in your own world and your own business. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.